Have you ever paid good money for something? A service, an event, a holiday, only to be totally, completely let down? Well, we're going to dive into a landmark court case that could seriously change how you think about bad service and what you're entitled to. This is all about getting compensated for, you guessed it, sheer disappointment. So, let's set the scene. Imagine you've booked what's been sold to you as a once-in-a-lifetime luxury cruise. You're picturing it, right? Stunning European rivers, five-star service, just an incredible trip. That was the dream, that was the promise. The absolute best of the best. Yeah, that's not what happened. Not even close. The reality was a total disaster. The trip was completely derailed by massive disruptions. That dream holiday? It turned into an absolute nightmare of frustration and disappointment. Pretty much the exact opposite of what they paid for. And this brings us to the actual case. You see, this group of passengers didn't just hop online and leave a scathing review. Nope. They decided to take the company, Scenic Tours, to court. And not just one person. This was a class action lawsuit. They argued that the luxury service they bought simply wasn't the service they got. This whole thing raised a really wild legal question. Can you actually sue a company for an emotion? I mean, for the feeling of being let down, for having your hopes for an amazing experience just crushed? It sounds a little strange, but that was the absolute heart of this legal fight. But here's the thing. This wasn't just about hurt feelings. This was about some really powerful legal protections that apply to every single one of us as consumers. They're called consumer guarantees, and this is where the legal battle gets really interesting. Okay, so under what's called the Australian Consumer Law, or ACL for short, there are these basic promises that are automatically included anytime you buy a service. Two of the really big ones are that the service has to be provided with due care and skill, so the person painting your house doesn't get paint all over your furniture, and it also has to be fit for purpose. Meaning, if you buy a raincoat, it should, actually keep you dry. In this case, the purpose was a luxurious, enjoyable holiday. Now, this is where the court had to draw a really important line in the sand. Scenic Tours tried to argue this was a personal injury claim, which has all these legal limits and caps on payouts. But the court said, nope, not so fast. They made it clear this wasn't about a diagnosed medical condition. It was about disappointment, frustration, inconvenience, basically the loss of the enjoyment you paid for. And legally, that's a completely different kind of loss. So this case didn't just stop at a lower court. It went all the way up. We're talking the High Court of Australia. After a really long, drawn-out legal fight, their decision was going to set a huge precedent for every consumer in the country.
And here it is, the final word. The official case. Moore versus Scenic Tours. High Court of Australia, case number 17 of 2020. When the High Court speaks, that's it. It's the definitive answer.
So back to the big question. Could the passengers actually get money for their disappointment? The High Court's answer was a clear, loud, emphatic yes. They confirmed that absolutely, consumers can recover damages for their distress and disappointment when a service completely fails to deliver on its promise. So let's break down why they won. The court found that Scenic Tours had totally breached those core consumer guarantees. The cruise wasn't given with due care and skill, and it for sure wasn't fit for its purpose as a high-end luxury experience. Because of that, the disappointment they felt was ruled a direct, recoverable loss. And crucially, it wasn't limited by those caps that apply to personal injury claims. Okay, so a bunch of people on a fancy cruise won a lawsuit. Big deal, right? Well, actually, yeah. It's a huge deal for you. This ruling really empowers every single one of us, and it kind of changes the game for any service you'll ever buy again. All right, so let's boil this all down. These are the key protections you have to remember. Number 1, any service you buy absolutely must be provided with due care and skill. Number 2, it must be fit for what it's supposed to do. And number 3, and this is the big one from this case, if a business fails on those first 2 points, you can be compensated for the disappointment and distress it causes. So here's the bottom line. The most important thing to take away from all this. When you pay for an experience, a vacation, a wedding reception, whatever it is, you're paying for the enjoyment, the benefit of that service. And if a company's failure takes that away from you, that loss has a real, tangible value. The law recognizes that your disappointment is worth something. And that just leaves us with one final thought, something for you to chew on. How many times have you been let down by a service you paid for, and you just shrugged it off, chalked it up to bad luck? Well, this case proves that your rights as a consumer are probably a lot stronger than you think. What you were promised, it really, really matters.